UGC St. Louis takes place January 11th, 12th, and 13th, and I am so excited to be a part of it, but with the competitive scene switching over to Halo 3, I'm sure many of you, including myself, needs a bit of a refresher on some of these maps and game types. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Between now and the event, I'm going to be taking a closer look, analyzing and summarizing gameplay that you can expect to see at UGC St. Louis. Every gameplay that I look at will be taken from Grand Finals matches in the UGC Online Qualifier, and every single time I'm going to be looking at a different pro player perspective. So let's kick off the first one with Ace on Narrow's Team Slayer. The match we're about to look at is taken from the first UGC qualifier. This is Game 1 Grand Finals of Status Quo versus GMS. I'm going to be focusing on three main points in this match, starting with Ace's first life here. He does an amazing job staying alive. I'm going to play up some of this, and while that happens, I want you guys to pay attention to how both these teams manage their resources off of this starting strat and Ace's decision-making in these critical first battles.
Years of Halo, starting with the game.
Goofy's a cannon. Goofy's gonna lift. Goofy's gonna lift.
Give me 2L2. To the Mohawk. Yep. To the Mohawk. Gabriel's weak.
Mohawk. Zerk's weak the right way. R2 weak. Zerk.
Mohawk, Mike.
Zerk Mohawk. Got him. Do that. Watch her back. One lift.
Cannon door sniping. Cannon door sniping weak. Rocks are up.
Yo, our snipe, Mason.
Hold
on, Mike, I'm coming.
One shot of flag door.
I got him. I got their base. They're flag door.
They're cannon.
One shot the cannon sniping. It's R2.
I killed.
All right, so far so good. It's 5-3. Status Quo has an advantage in map control. Let's take it back. Now, Narrows as a map is super straightforward. It's basically just one massive bridge. You got your two lanes, the top and the bottom. Then you have your lifts that serve as a third lane that you can use strategically in certain scenarios. You also have the power weapons, the snipers on both sides. You have the rockets in bottom mid. A team's success in the start of this game can depend largely on how they split their resources to take advantage of all of these things. Usually what teams will do is they'll send 3 players up through the top and 1 player down through the bottom for the sniper rifle. This can work because if you grab the sniper and you look all the way across through, you can take out the enemy team sniper, you can see anybody approaching the rockets, whereas if you have 3 players pushing through top, that's a huge dominating force that can just melt anybody on the top of the map, so it's a great way to start on the map. But there are also alternatives. There are other ways to start off, and GMS goes for an alternative strategy. It's a little riskier, and unfortunately it doesn't pay off, and we'll notice that in a sec. Now, Ace is pushing up here. He tosses 2 nades. The nades in the start of this game are very strategic. The first nade he is tossing over to R2, R3 area, that shoulder over at R3 where players like to hang out and toss their own nades or grab the plasma nades. That's a good one to toss. The second nade is very strategic. He tosses it way up in the air, and the objective for this is to bank it all the way off the back on this wall here. If you can bank it off of this, it'll actually fall straight down behind the Mohawk where Gabriel is currently standing. It ends up being an amazing nade, but unfortunately Ace, he throws it a little short, and it's hard to see. You won't be able to really see it, but you can see the smoke from it because the quality's not very good. He throws it short. It doesn't bank off the wall. It ends up falling down behind the Afro, and it misses entirely. He does throw one later, and it works, so I'll show that when it happens. But you'll notice that there's only 2 players here, and these players are being overwhelmed right now. And that's because GMS went for a different strategy off the rip here. You can see a player is flying off the lift. So instead of a 3-1 that we have from the side of Status Quo, we have more like a 2-1-1 on the side of GMS. You got 2 players through the top mid, you got 1 player in the bottom grabbing snipe, and you have 1 player flying off the lift. This strategy can work, but it's a little more risky, a little more difficult to pull off. This player on the lift has to make themselves very useful. As they fly by, they got to throw some nice nades, fire some nice shots, because if they don't, then they're leaving their teammates out to dry in a 3v2 situation. And that's what happens here. As this player flies by, it seems like he isn't too effective in landing shots and nades that he needs to, and if that's the case, then he needs to get all the way over there and pinch around as quickly as possible so he can at least help afterwards. But it seems like that doesn't work out either. Ace and team push forward very quickly here. They start tearing apart these 2 players. As you can see, these guys go down. They're completely overwhelmed. Ace makes an amazing play on the sniper right here. Remember having an easily available exit strategy? That's exactly what he has right there. And I'm not sure if he knew that he would bounce like that on the second jump, but it's a pretty smart way to take, like, imagine the kind of target that Ace is in this situation. Jumping, bouncing his head off the roof, falling down, bouncing his head off the roof a second time to go diagonally out of that situation immediately. Pretty smart use of ceilings. Honestly, in Halo 3, ceilings can be very effective in moving quicker and just bouncing yourself around. They can also screw you up too, so you really got to be careful taking advantage of this, but he bounces in, jumps, bounces his head off the corner, throws himself out of there immediately. immediately, and he does not take a split second. He doesn't waste time here. He immediately turns his focus, listens to his teammates, and callouts are so important. We're going to talk about that in a second, but listens to his teammates, looks over, and tries to get an angle on the enemy player who lifted across. And at this point, this player is being pinched by multiple people. He's not going to have like an easy time being effective here. So really smart play by Ace. He'll turn around, gets into a 1v1 with Gabriel, and he destroys him. An amazing job with that 1v1. Now the trick to something like this, I find, is you do not want to be the first guy to jump when it comes to Halo 3. It's all about a confident strafe. And you'll see Gabriel's kind of freaking out with a couple jumps here, and Ace holds his ground. He does not jump until after Gabriel falls from his first jump. I think that's one of the best times to jump, is if you can hold out, strafe, focus on your shot, be confident in your strafe, be confident in your ability to hit your shots, wait for that player to come down from their jump, time your jump so you come up as they come down, and make yourself a difficult target so they have to really whip up on that right stick to hit you in the head to finish you. That's the kind of jump that you want to do. Ace does an amazing job firing the shots that he needed and being patient at the same time to stay alive there. Let's play up the rest of this life, and you'll see what I mean. This time, try to pay attention to how the team uses communication to continue their pressure moving forward.
You went lobby. I got him in.
I'm nading.
They're gonna be safe. We should go low. We should go low.
All right, I need
Cannon door, one shot, Goofy. One shot, their cannon power up. One shot, their cannon power up.
R4 sniping. R4 stay.
Shot their cannon power up, guys.
Two guys R3. Two guys R3.
I have rocks here.
Snipes, one shot, R4.
And top mid. You guys got it. All right, one lifted.
One shot, their cannon with snipe. One shot, their cannon with snipe.
Cannon door, Nick. Cannon door, Nick.
Cannon door, sniping, one shot. He's dead. I have the snipe.
One lifted. Last guy lifted. Last guy lifted.
He's L1. He's L1. L0.
So where?
I got him.
I got him.
I have a full snipe. On me, guys. I have a full snipe. Get to me. These are cannon.
How many?
Def came in.
He lifted on you.
One shot flag.
Shot a cannon. Nice.
I got stuck to R1, top right. Nice shots, Mason. One shot, nice shot.
No one, L2.
L2.
I'm in their snipe still. They're snipe.
One lifted.
Our cannon, our long left.
He's long cannon. He's going to lobby weak.
I'm coming back on flag.
R2 in my pocket.
Our lobby, guys. One shot, our right box with full snipe.
One shot or
There's a guy.
Kind of an unfortunate situation there, but there's a lot we can learn from the exceptional communication on this team, specifically Neighbor and Bestman, who showcased some great callouts, great decision making. Ace does a good job following through on those callouts, and that is so important in competitive Halo, is just having strong communication and following through on that communication decisively. Now, there's kind of a funny situation that happens here. I don't know if Ace knows that he baits Goofy by doing this, but he moves into this corner and then changes his mind. He goes up over to R2. Now, Neighbor at this point recognizes something important here, makes a great call out. Listen to Neighbor.
They're going
to be staged. We should go low.
They're going to be staged. We should go low. That is so smart from Neighbor to make that call out in that moment, recognizing that his entire team is on the bottom of the map here. They're grabbing the rockets. They got bottom map control. Nobody's on the top of the map to contest the back of their base. So the spawn priority is probably completely taken off of that back stage in the middle, and it's highly likely that players are spawning in that back stage, meaning that they have an opportunity to flank through the sides uncontested. So Neighbor recognizing that is so smart, and Ace realizing it, turning around, listening to the call out. Here's the funny bait on Goofy, who comes out here trying to fight like nobody basically, but I guess what he got, or what he thought happened, was that Gabriel had a death screen on Ace when Ace was in this corner, and he called it out. So Goofy came in here expecting a player in this corner, at least checking the corner, and Ace got some free shots. So that was kind of funny to see. But the bigger thing that you want to pay attention to is like a small nuance that people don't really consider, and it's the fact that in this following play here, Ace does not reload. After he fires those shots, he's going to come around this corner, and he has the discipline to not reload this entire time. And I think that's so important. In Halo 3, you got no secondary weapon in this situation. You're out of play for like 2 seconds if you do a bad reload. We don't know if there's a player back here. If Ace goes for a reload, he cannot fire again for a pretty significant amount of time, and he has 7 shots left in the chamber. It's not crucial for him to reload right now, so it's smart that he comes out here with the gun ready. So he'll come around the corner here, notices a player, he'll fire these shots, tosses an nade to try to get him behind the wall, fire a couple more shots, and then he finally reloads with 2 bullets left in the chamber when he has to reload. Very smart play by Ace. That's stuff that you really need to pay attention to. When and when not to reload literally is so crucial in this game. He's going to come around, take out that player. He'll grab the sniper rifle. This is huge. Grabs the sniper, 17 shots. There's tons of shots in the sniper. He's like, shit, I got to get this to the other side as fast as possible. Smart play to jump in the lift. In a situation like this, worst case scenario, Ace dies, drops the sniper off the map, or he drops the sniper on his team's side of the map, which is much better than leaving it on the enemy team's side and trying to make some kind of a crazy play. Shots like this are super tough to hit. By the way, this is totally different than Halo 5 no-scoping. In Halo 5, you've got a little bit more bullet magnetism, you got more auto aim, you can kind of flick that aimer, you get a little more lucky when it comes to no scopes. In Halo 3, you have to be very, very gentle with that flick. It's a tiny little, very precise flick. You don't want it, like, it's very easy to over flick. It takes a lot of time and practice to kind of get the understanding down, but a lot of it just comes with like just pacing your shots, giving yourself a lot of time in between those shots, especially the last shot that Ace has here. He just lines it up, lets the player fall into it, and that's usually when you get the most success on these shots, is just lining things up appropriately. He gets the body. He also had called out to his team to help clean up that player. Speaking of callouts, listen to Best Man's call out here. This really helps Ace make the decision that he does. Watch.
Nice shots, Mason.
Oh, that's not the call out.
Okay, nice.
I got stuck to R1, top right, top right.
Top right, top right. That's so that top right call out really makes, like, it helps Ace make the decision that he needs to here, because he ends up lining up the reticle perfectly
Nice
to
shots,
top
Mason.
right. Watch this. So he's already looking at top right based off of that call out, and then he can look over, whip that sniper over, and take out that shot. That is so important, is just listening to those call outs and prepping your scope, your reticle in that scenario so that you're as ready as possible as you need to be in those types of situations. He'll move up, and this situation as well, listen to these call outs here. Best Man with a great call out once again. It's not just about calling out where he is, but listen to what he says.
He long cannon.
He's long cannoning, he's long cannoning. That is a very specific technique in Halo 3. I'll explain how that works a little bit later. But that is so important that Best Man went out of his way to say that he's long cannoning, not just to say that he's going off the cannon. He's long cannoning, meaning that Goofy's going to get there way faster. And sure enough, Goofy gets there fast, and Ace didn't react fast enough in that situation. He ends up going down. It's pretty tough to do. It's pretty tough to know that, like, with players on top mid, you got to hit these players. It's hard to split your focus and recognize somebody flanking around like that. But that's the type of stuff you have to recognize, and Best Man did a good job calling it out. Ace just had to react more quickly. Also, real quick, here's an example of that nade toss I mentioned earlier. You can throw it way up in the air, have it bounce off of that back wall. It's going to be kind of hard to see with the quality, but it's bouncing off this little black speck, bouncing off the wall here. You can see the smoke as it falls down. It's going to land right behind the Mohawk, right where Zerka's standing. Had Ace not finished off Zerka himself, that nade probably would have done the trick. He can push forward, get the double kill. So really important nade to take advantage of. There's not really a specific location you have to aim for with the flick. You just got to kind of throw it in that general area. You got a buffer to work with. Give it a try, see what you think. All right, here's an example of long cannoning, long lifting, whatever you want to call it. This technique will get you into the enemy's lobby faster. Now, typically when you fly off a lift, you're going to land in this location over here. But if you long lift, you'll actually land up on this platform. So instead of having to land on the floor and then jump up here or go around the lift, by landing on the platform, you can get over to the lobby way faster. So here's the technique right here, and then I'll explain it after. You can see he flies across the lift, and he'll land on the platform, and then he can even carry the momentum from the lift into a jump off the floor and fly even farther into the lobby, which can be great if you know it's a good time to be aggressive on the enemy team's lobby. So the way this technique works is, first, when you step into the lift, you want to hold to the left, hold over to the platform. So it depends on what lift you're coming off of. You want to hold over to the direction of the platform with the left stick, and as you fly up at about this point, maybe even a little bit earlier, and this is something you want to play around with and try it out. Now, let me know in the comments as well if you have to be off host to do this. I'm pretty sure you have to be off host to make this work, but at about this point, maybe even a little bit earlier, you want to hold crouch or mash crouch. You don't have to mash. You'll see Ace is going to be mashing crouch. Here you can see he's kind of pressing crouch to get himself over. As long as you're holding crouch, you should be fine. You should be able to make it over. So give it a try. Get into the lift. Push that left stick over to the side where the platform is, depending on what lift you're getting on. That's either right or left. And then once you get to that midpoint, right before top mid, right at about this spot over here, you want to hold down crouch or mash crouch and move yourself over to that platform. That's how you get over faster. Overall, the matchup stays pretty even till about this point at the very end when Status Quo starts to pull away. And this team play is one of the main reasons why. This is a perfect example of a great 2-2 play between the bottom and the top of the Narrows Bridge. The two players on the top will apply pressure and stay passive on their side of the bridge while they bait the enemy team pushing across, and the two players in the bottom will fly across the Rockets Bridge and try to get behind the unsuspecting enemies above. Now, all of this is orchestrated through great communication on the side of Status Quo, so I'm going to play it up and listen to the comms. You can hear it.
Right cannon.
All lobby though.
I went low, I went low.
They're gonna have a snipe.
Right box
Near
Goofy.
low, near low.
Snipe me Goofy. Snipe me Goofy left. 2 L2, L3.
One, L2 weak, L2 weak, Mike.
see it happen.
Sniping L4, sniping L4.
They're sniped. They're sniped. Watch out,
I don't know what happened to
L2,
Flamesword, though. So they come up through the bottom right there. Neighbor managed to get that kill. Ace is cleaning off the players who are weak. Flamesword going for a bit of a flank here. Flamesword probably could have stayed a little bit longer and helped out Neighbor there. Neighbor might have stayed alive. But you'll see Flamesword's all the way in the back going for a flank. And for the most part, he's out of play. So at first, like, I don't know how I feel like it's a smart idea to try to get a nice flank here, but it's kind of tough when there are a lot of unknowns, when you don't know if there are players here. He's playing it very slow, and he's out of the field to play for a long time. But he does end up wrapping around eventually, and we'll see that in a second. Ace does a pretty good job trying to stay alive here as well as he crouch jumps up to the ledge. He'll back down. Look at this wide strafe, taking full advantage of this lane right here, almost bouncing himself between the walls like a ping pong ball as he tries to escape, jumps out while he's one shot. Remember, you can Gandhi hop in the air to try and stay alive. He does end up going down. Pretty hard to survive in that situation, but that strafe, I think, is pretty useful, taking full advantage of that lane with that wide strafe. There's Flamesword coming into top mid now to apply pressure. He's a little late, but it does actually end up helping out big time because it pushes Fantasy out of position here. He gets behind Fantasy. He can finish off Fantasy, and then at this point, GMS starts getting a little too aggressive, especially Zerka, who is strong-siding into their R1, which is, I feel like he should be backing up, strong-siding the other way, but he's strong-siding into R1, into the enemy team. He's going to get taken out. Neighbor is going to get a nasty triple kill with the sniper rifle. We'll see that in a sec. I had to throw it over to Neighbor's POV at the end here, who gets a nice triple to finish the game. You'll see this is Zerka right here, jumping over. You can see his intention. He's trying to get over to their lift side to stay alive. I get the intention, but honestly, he gives himself up for a free kill from Neighbor right there, who manages to nick him. And then this shot, these nice shots really just come from callouts as well. He hears a callout over at R2, R3, scopes in with the reticle lined up, nice headshot, gives himself that split second, that timing to scope in, recognize where the enemy's head is, laser focus, flick that reticle on him, you can land that shot. And then this last one is a terrible spawn. This is Zerka spawning up right in their lobby. I think he just died a couple seconds ago and he spawns up right in the reticle where he scopes in. Like, great presence of mind from Neighbor to scope into the area. Like, if players are funneling out from the sides, they'll come up through the lobby from about this location. So that, I think, was his intention, but Zerka spawned in front of his reticle, which this is just one of the frustrating things about Halo 3 that I can't explain to you. Why didn't he spawn on the sides? Why didn't he spawn backstage? He spawned in the guy's reticle. Like, come on, man. Somebody's got to fix that. Anyway, sick play to finish the game, 6 series. So a longer video again today to kick off the new year. My first real comprehensive analysis in Halo 3. So let me know what you think. A lot more micro, macro being included in this. And once again, of course, shout out to Callous, who helped me out with all the macro stuff. We watched this gameplay beforehand. Gives me some great insight for the video. So shout out to him. Does an amazing job, guys, coaching the new Denial roster. So make sure to give him some support. I've linked his Twitter in the description below. And of course, guys, if you love this awesome gameplay, give Ace a follow as well. I've linked his Twitch. I've linked his YouTube in the description below. This guy's an amazing player. He grinds harder than most players. I'd say he's one of the hardest grinders in Halo 3 right now. He definitely deserves that support. You should go check him out. I've linked all the necessary links in the description below, guys. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell beside the subscribe button. Keep in touch with everything as soon as it comes out. And remember to give me your comments. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know if I missed some things that you would add. Whatever you like, let's have a discussion in the comments below. Have a good night, guys.